Alright, track bulletin rules. The suggested track bulletin form A, number on subdivision 2, between the points are shown in 1 through 10 with the designated seat speed given in the last two columns will display less from the distance, describing rule in 542 and to give the location of the direction. Line void line numbered between air and location speed, limited passenger freight, tracks, flags at mileposts and for direction. And then show the lines from 1 to 10 and 11 other conditions okay with the dispatcher. Suggested track form B, the number on subdivision 2 and on date with the rule by Government Rules 15.2.21. The following limited to view of the two columns displayed less than the distance between 543 indicating lines, location, direction, line, void, line number between location and location from until the tracks and form of the gang number of the yard, yellow flag or yellow red flag, milepost for directions. And then OK and dispatcher. Track bulletins must be changed and left as specified by the rules 15.1 change of the address for the track 1 track bulletins. Rule 15.3 avoid track bulletins. Train dispatcher issue the track bulletins as required. Track bulletins will contain information on all conditions affecting the shape of the train, with the engine movement, the form of the other track with the bulletin forms A and B when may be used when necessary. Receipt and comparison of the track bulletin. Initial station unless otherwise instructed the train dispatcher, conductor, or engineer must receive the track bulletin and affect the train's movement, but track warrant and lift the track warrant show that none or no or in a manner designated special instruction. All rules that apply with the track bulletins also apply. With the conductor and engineer must have the copies of all of the track bulletins. Other instructions required. Each crew member must read they understand them. All crew members are responsible for complying with the requirement of the track bulletins, reminding each of those of the other requirements. On the initial station, when outbound crew members receive the track warrants and track bulletins for the inbound crew members, the conductor and engineer must compare with the track bulletin warrants with the track bulletins with each of the other and the train dispatcher before proceeding. Location where the track bulletin is delivered electronically. Crew members must verify the route with the description provided with the comfort and intent of the route with their train. If it does not, contact with the train dispatch to determine the track bulletins are valid. The crew members must check with the date with the OK issue, the time, and if over the 4 years old, will receive the contact with the train dispatcher. 4 hours old when they receive the contact with the train dispatcher, determine additional track bulletins as needed. Any rule referencing track warrants is applicable to DTC available authority. Changing address of the track warrants and track bulletins in order, and if the address must be changed with the track warrant, you have to deliver the other track bulletins only on the track bulletins does not grant authority to, according to Rule 15.3, authorizing movement against the current traffic. The train dispatcher may verbally change the train symbol, the engine, and navigation direction of the date. Protection of the traffic bulletin form B, display for track flag specified in Rule 543, display yellow and red flag, display 547, the display red flag. The train must not enter the limits unless instructed the employee in charge. The train within the limits of the time of the track bulletin form B takes effect, but must not make any further movement until instructed by the employee in charge. Crew member must attempt to contact the employee in charge to avoid delaying with giving the train's location on the track being used. The employee in charge will use the following format: establish communication within the train. Employee in charge of the track bulletin number to specify the line number when necessary between the milepost and milepost specific subdivision when necessary. Train with the limits unless otherwise restricted must move at the speed specified by the employee in charge of the list stated in item A, the instructions. A instruction. After communication with the train has been established, the employee in charge will use the following format with the grant train's permission to proceed through form B. Limited train ID may enter the limits for the end press of the red flag at M miles post to proceed one of the following specified routes: maximum authorized speed, restricted speed specified, speed of the employee in charge. 2 additional speeds may give the restricted the train movement through the portion with the limits by adding the following: do not exceed milepost. Miles per hour at milepost to milepost at other location required with the stop at the designated location within the limits and the following: stop at milepost or other location. Additional instructions are received with the man of the equipment to follow adjacent track and add the following: man of the equipment to following specify the track. Repeat instructions. A crew member must repeat the above instructions employed with given the instruction must acknowledge them before they can be followed. Once instruction is received, the employee in charge of the track route interchange with the previous instruction for the receiver, the contact employee with the charge to determine the original instructions received are built on the new track route before proceeding on the new route with the movement that must not be changed with the direction without the permission of the employee in charge. Protection of on-track equipment. Track bulletin form B may be used to protect with the track on-track equipment of the rail detector cars with using yellow, red flags identify protected equipment and track bulletin, while trains engine protected equipment of the track bulletin limited with the otherwise be governed in Rule 15.2 of the protect of the track bulletin form B with the same track bulletin must not protect the other gangs and equipment. Authorize movement again for the current of traffic. Rules 914. Movement over the current of traffic is in effect. The track bulletin may authorize movement again for the current of traffic if all of the train will use the blank track against the current of the traffic point to point. Train must use only the track specified between these points, but the opposing train must not leave the last point until the train arrives. The train dispatcher must not authorize the following train to move against the current of traffic until the previous train has been cleared for the last point. For example, as modified after the opposing train arrives at the point of the train will use the track again with the current over the traffic point to point, but the train will move again if the current over the traffic must not leave the first point until the opposing the train arrives. Train directly affected with both directions must receive the track bulletin, must not clear the main track, allow the following train to pass, or pass the preceding train unless authorized by the train dispatcher. Time until the time, date, all the trains blank the track between point and point. All trains must stop before following the track between these points unless directed to proceed with the employee in charge of the switch by train dispatcher. This bulletin may also contain the information public crossing, protection, switch spike, and intermediate flagman, or so forth. Following movement of train may not follow another train with again for the current of the traffic until the previous train has been cleared with the limited path of designated location. Past flagman located at the next immediate point. Flag protection is not required against the following trains. Flagman provided with example modified by adding intermediate flagman located at the point of the train moving against the current of the traffic, but must stop short over the flagman and left directed to proceed. Extended time of the time may be extended by the issue of another track bulletin. Travel of the track bulletin number is extended until the time the bulletin will use the one more track will remove the service of all the trains in both directions, use the remaining track with the directed by the train dispatcher employed within charge of the switches, each of the designated systems limits. Train dispatcher will authorize movement between the designated point of the issue of the track bulletin. As for the instructions to employ the charge of the switcher, the employee may verbally direct the movement of the youth hand signals. Also, the train dispatcher may control the signal indication authorized movement. All affected trains must receive the copy of the track bulletin protection when the tracks are removed from service. Before a track is removed from service, it must be protected. The track bulletin may protect the track removed from the service designated with the track of the name over the points at each end of the track. The track must not use this track in life of the track bulletin. Say with the name and the title of the employee who authorizes it, and this person directs all of the movement. The movement must be made with the restricted speed. Proper authority must also receive the path of the absolute signal display with the stop indication at the end of the outer surface of the track, except the interlocking after stop the movements of the point. Movements past the stop indications within the outer surface limit. The movements within the outer surface limits may stop and proceed indication without stopping. When required, the train dispatcher must advise the crew to the alternate routes and switch positions. Protection of the wind when the trains are blocked. With equipment notified by the train dispatcher when main track side and the other tracks are normally clear or blocked. With the equipment cannot be cleared when the main track is blocked with provide protection specified in Rule 620 of the equipment left on the main track. Change of a general order, special instruction, or rule when authorized designated manager of the track bulletin may not use the issue of the train with the cancel of the general order, special instruction, or rule. The general orders and special instruction canceled by the track bulletins may not be reinstalled. The track bulletin must remain in effect until the general order contained the change post. Copying track bulletins. Conducting the engineer must each have a copy of the track bulletins issued to their train. Each of the crew member must read the understanding them. Copies show the date of the following must occur when the track bulletins are transmitted verbally. Employee will enter the information on the track bulletin. Employee will repeat the information to the train dispatcher. Train dispatcher will check it and correct it and will say OK if given the time and his initial. The employee will enter OK time with the train dispatcher initials on the track bulletin and repeat them to the train dispatcher. Employees may relay track bulletins. Duplicating track bulletins. Employees who reproduce track bulletins while duplicating machine do not need to repeat them to the train. The dispatcher duplicated track bulletins must not be delivered and let used until they are checked and verified as legible and duplicated in their entirety. 5.9. Mechanical transmission track bulletins. Repetition is not required when the track bulletins are transmitted mechanically. The OK time will be given when the track bulletin is issued. Retaining track bulletins. Employee must keep the comply with the track bulletins on all trips during the tour of the duty when the track bulletins were received. The directive of the train dispatcher track bulletins may retain for the use of the next tour of duty before initial movement over the main track. For the next tour of the duty of the crew member must verify from the train dispatcher that no additional track bulletins are needed, not used. Relief engineer conductor during trip. The conductor engineer both are relieved before trip is finished. Must contact with the train. The dispatcher comply with the instruction concerning the handling of the traffic warrants, track bulletins, or other instruction. Crew members are called to leave the train at any other initial station. The crew members must conduct with the train dispatcher before leaving the initial station. Terminating any of the track warrants, track bulletin, the other instruction must be obtained. Comparison of the information relieved the conductor of the engineer must compare with the track warrants and the track bulletins, instruction, and information which either of the train dispatcher before proceeding. Board track bulletins, void numbered line with a track bulletin, part with a track bulletin, part and top with a track bulletin. The train dispatcher may do one of the following. Board track bulletins, verbally void a track bulletin by verbally use the following example. Line number of the track bulletin, number 1, reading bulletin number, reading quote over the line to be voided is void. The part with the track bulletin number blank the reading quote to be voided is voided. Track bulletin number blank is voided. Employee must repeat the information of the train dispatcher. If the correct word void will be entered to indicate that the portion is no longer in effect. B. Issue the track bulletin over the track warrant to void a track bulletin. Issue the track bulletin use the lines or designated other specific instruction on the track warrant using the following example. Line number of the track bulletin number blank is voided. The part within the track bulletin blank and the number blank and the reading of the quote of the part to be voided is voided. The track bulletin number is voided. When the paper copies are used, the employee will keep the copy of the track warrant. The track bulletin made it to void. The word void will be entered to indicate the portion no longer in effect with the track bulletin, and the part of the traction will indicate that no longer be in effect. Alright, delivery track bulletins. Employees must copy the track bulletins. Delivery must deliver the copies with all address for them left. The track bulletin is voided and transfer of the relieving the employee with employees who have delivered copies to all the address. They must keep the copy on file. 16. Rules applicable only with direct traffic control limits.